Earth.
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 Yep. Earth. Yep.
Oh. Earth.
Start here, and you go around long enough in the same direction, you wind up in the place you started from. Yes, Thomas?
Why don't we fall off when we walk underneath, Miss Sarah?
Because of a force called gravity.
What does gravity look like?
Gravity is something we can't see, but we know it's a great invisible force that keeps us all here on Earth. It's a natural force that keeps us all from flying off into space.
We were always told that the world is flat.
You were told right. Don't listen to her.
Is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. Okay. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know. Einstein, in an Einsteinian answer, we would say gravity is the curvature of space and time. And objects will follow the curvature of space-time, and we interpret that as a force of gravity. That's probably the best answer I can give to a what is gravity question, or why is there gravity. That's the best I can do there. I think that's a good start.
Is round.
What?
You know how everybody believes the world is flat, like a pancake? Well, they're all wrong. The world is actually round, like an orange.
The world is an orange. And?
And? Well, that's it. It's a great idea. It's one of my best ones.
Yeah, but what kind of orange? Is it a navel or a juicer? What?
Look, just sleep on it. Morning, the idea will come to you again, and you won't even remember where you got it. Get it?
Got it.
Good. I must say, I really thought you'd catch on to this a little quicker, Copernicus.
What? My name's not Copernicus. I'm Charlene Sinclair.
You're screwed up.
How do you brainwash? You repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, if somebody's resisting the concept, if you keep fucking repeating it, they'll incorporate it in their brain. Since you were a kid, you've seen this image. But you've never seen it from that point of view. But your brain has dimensionalized. Oh yeah, that's the Earth. How? Through repetition.
Well, let's just all get on our hands and knees and wait for a scientist or an astronaut to come along, or Neil deGrasse Tyson to come along and bestow upon us their knowledge.
I won't change my mind, because I don't have to, because I'm an American. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
Mac, look, you're wasting our time. You're not going to get us to not believe in evolution.
And why is that?
The smartest scientists in the entire world all agree that it's real.
I'm glad you brought that up. Mr. Reynolds, these were all the smartest scientists. Only problem is, they kept being wrong!
This is insane, you fool!
I'm a fool because I have more faith in the saints that wrote the Bible?
Yeah, because you just read the words of a bunch of guys that you never met, and you just take it on faith that everything they wrote was true.
And what makes you think what your scientists are writing is any more truer than my saints?
Because there are volumes of proven data, numbers, figures.
Have you poured through the data yourself? The numbers, the figures.
Well, no. No.
Oh, interesting. So let me get this straight, Mr. Reynolds. You get your information from a book written by men you've never met, and you take their words as truth based on a willingness to believe, desire to accept, a leap of, dare I say it, faith?
Come on. Look, I mean, I don't even know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Like, come on.
I rest my case.
Matter tells space. Space tell. Did I get that right?
The science community is ignoring a lot of the things that we're looking at, and so normal people are going out and doing experiments. And one of the experiments has turned up an amazing fact that we've not been told. and it destroys the whole idea of this heliocentric system, and that is the moon. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now, that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, you know, the scientific community have not told us this, because they won't tell us this, because it destroys this idea that the sun is, is lighting up the moon.
Everyone knows, like, if you're in sunlight, it's colder in the shade, right? So if it's 100 degrees in the sun, it's 90 degrees in shade. You go to the moonlight, like, especially in a full moon, especially if it's high in the sky, the moon is its own independent object. It is not reflecting the sun rays. The sun is its own object. Also, about the same size, which is, again, coincidentally, why the moon fits so perfectly in front of the sun during an eclipse. We always thought it was coincidence that even though it was 400 times farther away, it was also exactly 400 times less diameter, which is why it fits. And the other weird thing about the moon, which everyone thinks, oh, it's just a coincidence, is that we never see the other side of it. It's constantly perfectly rotating, so we only see one side of the moon. Exactly one side. It's not like we have like a quarter of a degree every 5 years or half a degree here and there. It's always the same side. There are no coincidences when it comes to this system. It was deliberately built, but I think it was deliberately built to be detected, and I think we were naturally supposed to figure this thing out maybe as late as the 1970s, but the government figured it out first, and they have been spending a heck of a lot of money trying to keep it a secret.
When I look at the people who signed the Antarctic Treaty, and all the nations that were down there doing whatever they were doing signed a treaty, and I believe it was 1958 or somewhere thereabouts, saying, nope, nobody can stake a claim to Antarctica, and if you're going to go down there, you can only go down there for scientific reasons under carefully restricted guidance, but it's not a free-for-all. Nobody can just, hey, I'm going to go check out Antarctica and do a high jump of my own. No, do it.
It's the only treaty that's all these countries have signed and never broken and completely agreed on. It's the only one. What treaty is there that everybody's agreed on? We're kept away from it for a reason. They have some scientific bases there, and literally it's controlled by the military because they don't want you finding out what's beyond.
During 3 voyages lasting 3 years and 8 days, Captain Cook and crew sailed a total of 60,000 miles along the Antarctic coastline, never once finding an inlet or path through or beyond the massive glacial wall. So the other question is, well, how come ships don't go off the sea if it's flat? How come ships don't fall off the edge? Well, here's why you don't fall off the edge. There's a 200 to 300 foot high wall that is the border that Scripture says is keeping everything in. Nothing's going past that.
Because they don't want you finding out.
Personally, I think the unconquered south face is the only one worth scaling. It's a 20,000-foot sheer wall of ice, but that's never stopped me before. Of course, I'm aware of the risks. Thank you for your concern.
Newtonian physics, why objects move on a ball spinning 1,000 miles an hour while it's going 26,000 miles around the sun. Basically the model we're accepting right now.
The sailor thinks that he's traveling around the Earth this way, when in effect he's traveling around the Earth this way.
They began flying it around the world from Abu Dhabi last year. with stops in India and China, then across the vast Pacific.
Does running around your neighborhood prove that the neighborhood is round?
I was an airline pilot for Delta for 26 years. A pilot's primary flight instrument is his artificial horizon, which he has to be maintained level to keep from climbing and descending. From a cockpit, weather permitting, I could see hundreds of miles in all directions, viewing connected by roads across the flat plain as far as the eye could see. Nothing ever leaned.
If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down, and every 5 minutes he should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one. But I went to the manufacturer of the artificial horizon, and they confirmed to me that it's completely mechanical, nothing electronic in it whatsoever. So it's literally just a gyroscope that can freely move. That right there is proof to me that planes fly over a plane.
Flat Earthers, it's time. We are going to destroy the Globeheads' arguments concerning flight routes.
When you go onto the plane tracking software, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of flights over the Northern Hemisphere, and you can track those flights from beginning to end. When you look at any flight in the Southern Hemisphere, what you'll find is the flight takes off and disappears off the tracking.
And that only leaves why. Why have they done this? What's the point of this grand deception? I think Eric Dubay explains it best.
People are always asking, why do they do this? I mean, this is, other than the obvious profit margin motive, NASA being the biggest black budget black hole in existence, sucking in over $30 billion taxpayer money for the fake moon landings alone. Nowadays, hundreds of billions of dollars, and not just NASA, but RASA and all the other fake space organizations around the world, giving CGI images for hundreds of billions of dollars.
You want to put something in context. If you want to do something with $3.5 trillion, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you judge to be important to the profile of the nation that you are trying to build and to sustain.
So by surreptitiously indoctrinating us into their scientific materialist sun worship, not only do we lose faith in anything beyond the material, we gain absolute faith in materiality, superficiality, status, selfishness, hedonism, and consumerism. If there's no God and everyone's an accident, then all that really matters is me, me, me. So they've turned Madonna, the mother of God, into the material girl living in a material world.
It's all about making us feel nothing so that we can be used. If everybody realised how special we all are, how unique every single life is, then this whole world would change overnight. We wouldn't allow ourselves to be used by this cabal.
Just our common